Come down onto your back. We'll begin in constructor rest pose. We will put extra emphasis on the hamstring muscles today, but always, of course, we're going to have the core as the foundation. So let's begin by relaxing down into the floor, feeling the soles of the feet evenly balanced on the floor, feeling the tailbone dropping down towards the mat, the abdominals relaxing, muscles in the back softening, allowing the neutral lumbar curve to show, feeling the breath moving the ribs slightly. Check that the shoulder blades are wide and broad, flat, arms relaxed, a bit wider than the mat with the palms up. Check that your neck is comfortable and you're resting at the center of the back of the head, chin drawn down slightly towards the notch of the neck. If your chin is jutting towards the ceiling, take a little pillow or folded towel behind your head and lengthen the back of the neck. A couple more relaxed breaths, feeling the body give into the pull of gravity, letting the bones settle down and the muscles do as little as possible here. And now let's connect with the inner core muscles, the muscles of the pelvic floor and of the transversus abdominis. We'll notice the tailbone, the two sit bones, the pubic bone. Be particularly aware of the sit bones this morning because those are the muscles that anchor the hamstrings when we get there. So we're going to feel where the pelvic floor is being suspended between these 4 points. Take an inhale. Picture the diamond that's formed. If you imagine the tailbone, the pubic bone, and the sit bones all being drawn together. And then exhale, gently pull those 4 points in towards the center of the pelvis, the pelvic floor. And then relax that with the inhale. We'll do that 2 more times. We'll add a little bit more intensity each time. Inhale, picture the diamond of the pelvic floor. And exhale, gather it in towards the center. All 4 points coming to the center, then squeeze the sphincters. And then relax. This should not be tilting the pelvis. So we're keeping the pelvis still and the lower back neutral. Inhale, prepare again. And exhale, draw the 4 points into the center. And squeeze the sphincters and then feel your perineum drawing towards the crown of the head. A little more intensely engaging through the whole pelvic floor. Again, the pelvis is still. And then relax. Let yourself give into gravity again. Soften. And then picture the belt of the transversus abdominis, the big, horizontal, very deeply internal sheath of muscles that wraps around from the spine to the belly. Take an inhale, picturing that belt. And with the exhale, begin at the spine and think of the muscle wrapping around both sides and a big belt buckling beneath the belly button. And then relax with the inhale. This also does not change the shape of your lower back or your pelvis. Inhale, prepare, picture the belt. And exhale, follow it in your mind's eye as it snugs around the hips and clasp beneath the belly button. And then relax it. Release into gravity. Soften completely. 1 more time. Inhale, prepare for the transversus abdominis belt. And exhale, wrap it around. And then relax that. Let's put those 2 pieces together to form the inner core. Inhale, prepare for the inner core. And Exhale, gather the pelvic floor and gently wrap the belt around. And then relax with the inhale. Soften completely. Let it go. We're still maintaining the neutral back, the neutral pelvis. Inhale, prepare again. Exhale, pelvic floor, those 4 points gathering in, and then wrap the belt around. Very secure around the pelvis, lower belly, lower back. And then relax. Let it go, soften completely. One more time. Inhale, prepare for the inner core. And exhale, gather the pelvic floor, wrap the belt. Now we're going to maintain that and take an inhale. And then with the exhale, renew both of those efforts, pulling the pelvic floor to the center and wrapping the belt around. And then relax and soften completely. So almost everything we do will be preceded by that combination of the inner core. We'll do some arm lifts now. Bring the arms down to the sides. And we're going to use that inner core to stabilize the position of the pelvis and the lower back against the pull of the arms as they move to the floor behind. Inhale, bring the arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, find the pelvic floor in the belt and reach the arms back behind you. Keep the pelvis still. And inhale, bring the arms to the ceiling. And then exhale, lower your arms down. Let everything relax, and hopefully as you relax, there's no movement in the pelvis and lower back. Let's do that again. Inhale the arms to the ceiling. Exhale, find the inner core, and then reach the arms back. Feel that snugness around the pelvis. Feel the stability of the lower back. Inhale, bring the arms to the ceiling. And then exhale, settle them down at your sides. Relax the shoulders, relax the abdominals. If there's any clenching in the buttocks, release that. One more time. Inhale, arms float up. Exhale, inner core and reach back, keeping stable in your lower back and your pelvis. Inhale, bring the arms to the ceiling. And then exhale, lower the arms down to the sides and let everything relax. We're going to bring the hands behind the head, interlace the fingers, open the elbows out wide, and warm up our obliques. As you inhale, feel your ribs flare wide. And with the exhale, unflare the front ribs. Feel the 2 sides of the front rib cage pull together. And as you inhale, again, let the ribs flare. This time we're going to imprint the back ribs. With exhale, feel the 2 sides of the back of the rib cage print down into the mat. And inhale, let the ribs flare. Exhale, unflare the front ribs. And inhale, let the ribs flare. And exhale, imprint the back ribs. Let's put the 2 together. Inhale, let the ribs flare. Exhale, unflare and imprint. And then relax. Let's add the inner core to that and lead into a head lift. Inhale, preparing for the inner core first. Exhale, pelvic floor, belt, ribs knitting and imprinting. Maintain your stable lower back and lift the head. And inhale, lower back down, keeping your neutral spine. Exhale, lift up. Keep the pelvis still and the lower back stable. Inhale, lower down. One more time. Exhale, lift. And inhale, lower down. And relax. And bring the arms to the sides with the palms up. Relax the shoulders. Stabilizing the pelvis and the lower spine and the rib cage now. Combining the inner core and the obliques as we just did as we do the alternate leg lifts. Inhale, prepare for the inner core first. Exhale, gather the pelvic floor, wrap the belt, knit and imprint the ribs, and raise the right foot up, keeping the pelvis really still. If you want to put your hands on your hips to feel that, you can. And inhale, lower the foot back down. Re-engage. Exhale, and float the left foot up. And lower back down. Another time like that on the right. We're going to anchor inner core, rib knitting and imprinting. Right foot up, stable pelvis. Inhale, lower back down. Keep stabilizing. Exhale, inner core, ribs knitting and imprinting. Take the left foot up and lower back down. Now we're going to switch the breath. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, just focus on the core engagement. Inner core, engaging, ribs knitting and imprinting. Now keep that stable as you inhale and lift the right foot up. And lower back down with your exhale, re-engaging the core, stabilizing, and then inhale, taking the left foot up. And lower back down. We want to be able to stay on both phases of the breath, of course. Let's go again to the right side. Inhale to lift. And exhale to lower down. And inhale to lift. And inhale to lower down. And relax. That said, if you're having a day when you are having a hard time being stable, you can exhale in preparation for any movement. The exhale will be a more stabilizing force than the inhale. So if you need to exhale to be stable, of course, use that adaptation. Okay, let's engage the inner core again. Knit and imprint the ribs. Inhale the right foot up, and this time we're going to extend the leg. Flex your foot back, reach through the heel. Trying to get a little length in the back of the leg. Inhale, bend the knee, and exhale, lower the foot back down. Stabilize the pelvis. Inhale, bring the left foot up. Exhale, flex and extend. Inhale, bend the knee, and anchor. Lower the foot down. Stabilize as you come down, and inhale the right foot up. Exhale, flex, extend, and inhale, bend. Anchor, lower the right leg down. Re-engage and take the left up. Keep those back ribs imprinted. Exhale, flex, extend. Inhale to bend and anchor. Lower back down with exhale. Let's do it one more time. Inhale, lift right side up. Exhale, flex, extend. Inhale, bend the knee. Anchor, lower the right foot down. Re-engage and stay steady as you inhale the left foot up. And exhale, flex, extend. Inhale, bend the knee, and re-engage. Anchor as you bring that foot down, and relax. Okay, we're going to warm up the hamstrings. I'm going to take a blanket, or a folded pillow actually, between my knees. So take a small ball, or something that you can squeeze between the knees. Keeping your neutral spine, we're going to exhale and press the knees into the ball or the blanket, and then relax that squeeze. And again, exhale, stabilize the neutral and squeeze inward. And relax. One more time, exhale, stabilize and squeeze in. And relax. We're going to go into our first hamstring challenge. We're going to take a pelvic lift with a squeeze on the cushion, the ball, the towel, whatever you have there. Inhale, prepare. Good strong engagement in the inner core. Knit and imprint the ribs. Squeeze into your object and then raise your hips up off of the mat. Feeling the back of the legs working. Hinge your hips and come back down. Good. We're in neutral the whole time. If you've got a hamstring cramp there, take note. That's a sign of the hamstrings being weak in that range of motion. You might want to stretch your leg up. Let's try it again. Engage the inner core, knit and imprint, squeeze in, raise the hips up, and hinge back down. And then relax. One more time. Exhale, engage, squeeze, and lift. And inhale, come back down, and release. Okay, take your object out. We're going to prepare for the pistons and then the 100. So sometimes a muscle is both weak and tight. And this is the case with the hamstring muscles of many Americans because we sit too much and we don't walk enough. So they can be weak and or tight in different combinations. But we want to both strengthen and lengthen. So we're going to work on that today. All right, let's go back to the inner core, engaging the inner core, the ribs knitting and imprinting. Float the right foot up, and we're going to keep it up. Keep those back ribs imprinting and lift the left leg up. And then we're going to go into pistons. Exhale, lower the right foot down. Inhale, lift it up. And exhale, the left foot down. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale again to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale, left down. Inhale up. Again on the right. And back up. And the left. Once again. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. And before we go to the 100, let's loosen up the hips. Drop your knees out wide. Stir the legs around the hip sockets. And reverse. And give your knees a hug into the chest. So I posted a picture of the hamstrings. There are 3 muscles that make up the hamstrings, and they all originate at the sit bones, which you could feel in this position with your knees into your chest. And then they come down. The whole back of your thigh is hamstring, and they attach actually to the lower 2 leg bones, the tibia and the fibula, 2 on the inside and 1 on the outside. And if you feel behind your knees, you can actually kind of feel that. The outside is a big, solid tendon, and the inside you can feel the 2 strands. So this is not an extreme hamstring stretch as we bring the knees in like this to the chest, but it might give you a little bit of a stretch depending on how tight you are generally, and also first thing in the morning. So feel lengthening at the back of the thighs, just gently. The hamstring muscles are both hip extensors, which we'll work on, and knee flexors. They straighten out the front of the leg like this, and they also bend the knee like this. So we're going to experiment with both of those motions. They also have a role in internal and external rotation. So we're going to do the 100 in external rotation, which engages or involves the lateral hamstring. So let's prepare for our 100, bringing the legs to the neutral tabletop, spine in neutral, arms down by the sides. Engage the inner core, wrap your belt around, feel your ribs knitting and imprinting, press the palms down into the floor, and then lift your head, chin to the chest. We're going to extend the legs out, and then externally rotate the legs, turning them out in the socket. Make sure your belt is nice and snug, and exhale for 5 pulses of the arms, and inhale for 5. Exhale for 5, and inhale. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale for 5. Stay rolled out in the socket. And inhale. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. One more set. Exhale. And inhale. And then let's hug the knees into the chest. Turn the head slowly from one side to the other. And we'll take a gentle spinal twist. Drop both knees over to the left side. Relax the right arm. Take a couple slow breaths there. Move your breath into the back of the body. Feel the expansion of the back ribs to stretch down the back. Excuse me, the hip, the outer thigh. And then we'll come back into the center and drop both knees over to the right side. And feel the breath moving into the left side, into the left back ribs, left lower back, hips, outer thigh. And then come back into the center. Engage your core. Keep your ribs imprinting as you lower your right foot down. And then the left foot down. We're going to keep the core engaging. The ribs knitting down, imprinting, and then tilt the pelvis. Draw the pubic bone into the belly button so the lower back is flat. Maintain your flat back and slide your right heel away until your right leg is straight out on the mat. Feel the belly pulling in. Feel the length at the front of the thigh. That hip extension is one of the jobs of the hamstring. We're going to keep that leg straight out there, the back flat, and extend the left leg as well. So both legs are straight out and your pelvis is tucked. I'm going to keep tucking the pelvis and then slide the right leg in. And here also hamstring work as we bend the knee. Keep tucking your tail between your knees, between your legs, and then bring the left leg in as well. And then release your pelvic tilt. Let everything go for a moment. And we'll reset that inner core, ribs knitting and imprinting, tilting the pelvis, feeling the lower back go down. So you're going to notice that it's a lot harder to keep the back flat when we start extending the legs out. So work that muscle between the pubic bone and the belly button. That's because the rectus abdominis is tilting the pelvis one way. The hamstrings want to pull the sit bones the other way. So we have a active pulling against each other. Keep the back flat and take the other leg out. Keep flat and pull the left knee in. And then the right, and then relax. All right, once again, inner core, tilt the pelvis, knit and imprint the ribs, extend the right leg out, keep it out, bring the left leg out. Now we're going to stay and do an exercise here. Release to neutral. Engage around your neutral, knit and imprint. We're going to do a pelvic lift here. Press into the heels. Keep your thighs rolling in. You can engage the buttocks as well and then lift your hips up. You're not going very far, but you should feel the backs of your legs working. Try to keep the toes together and then come back down and release. Let's do that a couple times. Feeling the work at the backs of the legs. Try not to let the legs flop out and to turn out. We're going to stay parallel. Engage around your neutral spine, knit and imprint. Press into the heels and lift. Feel the back thighs working. And lower back down. Release. Relax it. One more time. Inner core, ribs knitting, imprinting, press into the heels, and lift, and then release. Now we're going to tilt the pelvis again, flatten the back, slide the right heel in, and then the left. Keep your pelvis tilting. Slide the left leg out and the right leg out, and relax there. And let's do some side bends. Take the arms up overhead, reaching long from fingers to toes. Engage around your neutral. Walk the feet to the left. Walk the upper body to the left. Keep your right hip and right ribs down. Right ankle over the left and hold your right wrist. And breathe into the stretch of the right side. Belly button and breastbone should be pointing straight up. If they're tilting towards the left, work that right buttock and right back ribs down. And we'll come up into the center, stretch long from fingers to toes. Find your inner core, your ribs knitting and imprinting. Walk your legs to the right, and your upper body to the right. Check that the left side is down, left ankle over the right. Hold the left wrist and breathe into the stretch of the left side. Keep the left hip down, the left ribs down. Big, long breaths into the left side. And then let's come back into the center, stretch long. Lower the arms down to the sides. Re-engage the inner core. Tilt the pelvis, knit and imprint. Slide your left leg in, and then your right. And relax into neutral. We're going to go into leg circles. The hamstrings are attached to the sit bones, as we mentioned before. When the hamstrings are tight, they tend to tuck your pelvis under to flatten out your lumbar curve, because that puts them on a little bit of a slack. So this is part of the reason why we do the leg circles in neutral. You're getting a little bit more pull on the leg having the pelvis neutral than you would if it was flat. And I'll explain that more a little later if that doesn't make sense yet. So we're going to find the inner core, the ribs knitting and imprinting. And keeping the pelvis neutral, slide your left heel away, and then lift your right foot and bring the right knee into the chest. We're going to keep the pelvis neutral, tailbone down, and extend the right leg to the ceiling. There's your first big hamstring stretch of the day. Bend the knee. Feel your tailbone reach down as you straighten the knee and reach up with the foot and bend the knee. Keep the tailbone on the mat. Keep your neutral spine. Stretch up. Keep that neutral spine. And bend. Let's do it twice more. Stretch up. Be aware of the tailbone down. Feel the stretch at the back of the leg. Bend the knee. And now we're going to go up. Re-engage your core, and now try flexing your foot back. That gives you a little more intensity at the back of the leg, more down in the calf than in the hamstring, but it accentuates that. And then point the toes, and flex the foot back again, and point. One more time, flex it back, point. If you point, you take a little slack off of that stretch, and it's a little bit easier to keep the leg straight. We're going to use that advantage as we do our leg circles. Stabilize the pelvis, the ribs. Circle the leg 5 times. Make sure your tailbone stays down. Your leg is as straight as possible with the tailbone down onto the floor. 5 times one way. Stabilize the torso. Reverse. Make sure your hips and ribs staying steady. Now we're going to bend that knee. Bend the right knee. Use your left hand and pull your knee over towards the floor on the left side. And now to stretch the hamstring. Feel the difference here. We're going to straighten out the right leg. And you may reach down to your foot or just hold anywhere along the leg, but now you've got the whole back of the right leg stretching. Breathe slowly into that stretch. It may seem counterintuitive when you're trying to stretch something to work that muscle. Bend that knee, come onto your back. Lower the right foot and bring the left foot back in so both feet are on the floor. So to continue my thought, you may ask, why work a muscle when we need to stretch it? We work the muscle to get the blood flowing there, to get it more malleable. So when the muscle is tight and weak, it's just kind of clenched and there's not as much blood flow there. So we want to get it working at different lengths, and then we have more possibility for flexibility. So hence the back and forth between work and stretch here. All right, engage the inner core. Let the ribs knit and imprint. I'm going to straighten the right leg out. Keep your tail on the floor and lift your left foot off the floor. Hands behind the leg. We're going to keep the tailbone on the floor and straighten the left leg up to the ceiling and bend the knee. So tailbone down, foot up, lengthen the hamstring. Feel the back of the leg, especially be mindful of the back of the thigh. Stretch it up and bend. We'll go twice more. Reach up, keep the tailbone down, lengthen the back of the leg. Lower, one more time. Stretch it up. Now we're going to keep the leg straight, keep your core working, and flex the foot back to intensify that stretch, and then point the toes. And flex back, and point up. One more time, flex it back, and point up. Keep your point. It gives you a little bit of slack, a little advantage. Anchor the core, and we circle 5 times each direction. Steadying the core, keep the leg nice and long. Reaching down with the tailbone, up with the ankle reverse. Reconnect with your core as you reverse, making sure that everything's staying nice and still. And then we're going to bend the left knee. Use the right hand on the left knee to pull over to a twist. And then extend that left leg out long and feel the hamstring stretch added into the twist. And then bend the knee and roll to the back. And slide the right foot in. Lower the left leg down. And relax there. Okay, we're going to go on to the stomach. And the first exercise is a hip extension exercise. So we're going to emphasize working the back of the legs, the hamstrings, and the buttocks, the gluteals, both of which extend the hips, but not working the lower back. And you have to move very subtly. It's a very small movement. So you're going to start lying in the belly, and you're going to take your hands and put one hand under each one of the hip points. If you can, have your forehead on the floor, and if it's not comfortable to do that, you might take a small support under the forehead so your nose isn't getting squished. And if you really can't do that, then turn to one side. Try not to be resting on your chin. So settle for a moment, feeling those hip points drop into the palms of each hand. And try to find a place where you have equal weight dropping into each one of your hands. Feel that. And now wrap your belt around. Engage your pelvic floor. And make the smallest movement you can for this first one, without lifting up off of your right hip and also without pressing into it. Just sneak your right foot up off of the floor. It's really tricky to not push into it. That's the more subtle thing here. And lower back down. Stable across the front of the hand and sneak the left foot up. If you feel a lot of weight come in, engage your belt more and sink a little weight into the right side as you lift. We're just unweighting the leg. It's a small lift. And lower down. Your front thigh won't probably even fully leave the floor. What we want to feel is the back of the leg and the buttocks doing this, not the lower back. So keep that weight even from side to side. It may help to think of stretching your toes away from your head a little bit. If you feel it a lot in your lower back, do less. Make it small. Maybe just the thought is enough. Engage the inner core. Sink evenly into each palm. Sneak the left leg up. And make it small. Keep that even across the front of the pelvis. No contraction in the lower back, or minimize that contraction in the lower back. Let's do each leg one more time. And then relax. Okay, we'll bring the hands up underneath the forehead. Take the legs comfortably wide apart. Let everything relax there. We're going to try another movement where we are going to isolate specific muscles, not just let everything kick in. So now we want to relax the muscles of the lower back and of the legs, the front and the back of the legs. Engage the inner core. Keep the arms down on the floor, and as you exhale, just lift your head up off of the mat a little bit. Try not to squeeze the buttocks. Try not to feel a big contraction in the lower back, and keep your legs as passive as you can. Lower the head back down. Relax everything. You'll notice when you come down and you relax everything, if there's a major ungripping of the buttocks, then of course you engage them. So keep them a little softer this time. Find the inner core, draw the ribs together. You can press the elbows gently down, lift the chest and head up. Where we want to feel this work is in the upper back. You can draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Maybe feel some engagement between the shoulder blades. Just gently, subtly pulling the breastbone forward, legs, buttocks relaxed. And release the head back down to the hands. Let everything soften. Notice if you end up having to ungrip the legs. One more time. Inner core. Glide your ribs together. Press down into the arms. Raise the chest and head. Keep the legs and buttocks relaxed. And then lower down and relax. And then bring your hands down to your sides. Again, you can have either the forehead or a cheek on the floor. Legs together or a little closer together. Now we're going to engage the backs of the legs and even do some lower back contraction. I want you to feel the difference in the legs as we do this version of the locust. Engage the inner core. Knit the ribs together in the front, and then raise everything up off of the mat. And if you reach over and feel the backs of your legs, you're going to feel that those muscles are engaged. And lower back down. And you'll know as you come down, there'll be a feeling of releasing. Engage the inner core, glide the ribs together, and lift up, using the muscles along the back of the body. Keep using the muscles in the upper back. Don't let the lower back completely dominate this. And also feel the lower back a little bit, the buttocks and the backs of the legs. And lower down, relax. Release. So here we're feeling the concept of hip extension in the hamstrings. Once again, engage and lift. Hip extension means that the front of the thighs are straightening out. And lower back down. Let everything relax. Put your hands under your forehead. Take a couple relaxed breaths there. So the other action that the hamstrings do, as I mentioned, is knee flexion. They do hip extension, straightening out the front of the hip, and knee flexion, bending the knee. So let's do a version of the cobra. Bring your arms into cactus pose. Let the elbows be comfortably wide apart. Start with everything relaxed. Engage the inner core. Knit your ribs together in the front. Keep the front of the pelvis level. Press down into your hands and raise your chest and head and your right leg up off of the mat. Keep your right hip down. Now continue to keep the right hip down and try bending that knee, bringing your right heel towards your right sit bone. If you lift your thigh up off the mat a little bit more, you can feel the extension of the thigh as you straighten the knee, and then lower down. Relax back down with the leg and the head. Reconnect around the core, glide the ribs in, gently press your hands down, raise the chest and head and the left leg, and then bend the left knee, aiming your your heel towards your sit bone. Now I'm not asking you to touch your heel to your sit bone, but just aim it and try to keep the front of the pelvis steady so you don't lift one of your hips. Extend the leg out, feel the work at the back of the leg here, and then lower down, let everything relax. We'll go back to the right side, engage around the pelvis, and glide the ribs in. Raise the chest, head, and the right leg up. There's hip extension, and then bend the knee. And here's knee flexion, aiming your right heel to your right sit bone. And extend the leg out. And lower back down. So you may feel as you're working the back of the leg, you're stretching the front of the leg. The hamstrings and quadriceps kind of work like pulleys. Engage the low core, knit the ribs. Raise the chest, head, left leg up, bend at the knee. If you can feel the work at the back of the thigh and the stretch at the front of the thigh. Extend the leg out and lower down. Relax. We're going to do each leg one more time. Stabilize and float the right leg up as you raise the chest and head. And bend the knee. Straighten the leg. Keep the front of the pelvis even. Lower down. Let everything relax. And then finally the left leg, inner core, ribs knit, chest, head, left leg lift. Exhale, bend the knee. Make sure the front of the pelvis stays steady. Extend the leg out. Lift the breastbone away from the foot. And lower down. And relax for a moment. If your lower back feels really tight, take a child's pose. And one more hamstring challenge here. Come up into the Sphinx position for the single leg kicks. So here we're going to press the forearms down, tuck the tail under, knit the ribs together, and one leg at a time. Bend at the knee, kick, kick, and then side kick, kick. Right leg up, kick, kick, and left. This is engaging something called the stretch reflex, so it's a way to engage. You notice we don't do much bouncing, but this is the only exercise where we're actually trying to use this feature to engage the hamstring. Let's do one more set. And then we're going to move back into a child's pose. Let the lower back stretch. And then let's fly out onto the left side. And we'll begin with the knees at a 90 degree, or the hips at a 90 degree flexion, the knees and the feet at the front of the mat. Engage your inner core, keeping your pelvis steady. Tilt the right hip forward slightly, and for 10 times, externally rotate that leg, rolling the right thigh out in the socket, keeping the pelvis still. Now we're not in hamstring realm here, we're in deep external rotators. We're going to be asking them to work intensely together in an exercise we're going to do a little bit later on. Relax. And those, the piriformis is also attached at the sit bone, so there's a relationship there for sure. Okay, let's open out the front of the hip, knees at the front of the mat, feet underneath you, 45-degree hip flexion. Again, make sure that the right hip is tilted forward, engage the inner core, keep the pelvis steady as we do 10 rotations out in the socket here. Keep steadying the pelvis. We want the belt wrapped snugly around the hips the whole time. And then release. And we're going to open the front of the thigh. Hips out, 0-degree hip flexion. Engage the inner core and lift the organs. Keep your pelvis steady as you roll the leg out in the socket. Now we are getting some hip extension, so we're getting into the realm of the hamstring a little bit more. Keep the pelvis steady as you roll out in the socket. And then come out completely straight with the legs, feet slightly forward of the hips. Hand on the top waist or fingertips on the mat in front of you. And engage the inner core, lift the organs up off the mat, and lift just the top leg. Now we're going to do some internal and external rotation. Hamstrings are involved in both of those actions. So we're going to roll the leg out in the socket, flex the foot, and bring the heel down to the front. And then lift the leg, point the toes, roll in, and reach the toes down towards the back. Lift, roll out, flex, bring the heel down to the front. Lift, roll in, point, and reach your toes down to the back. Lift, roll out, flex, heel front. Lift, roll in, point, toes back. 2 more times. Keep the pelvis steady. So make the leg do the movement. The pelvis is the steady anchor. No rocking in the pelvis. 1 more time. Then come up to the center. Draw your ribs together as you do an increased organ lift, and as you exhale, move your leg behind you. This is a hamstring movement because we're extending the front of the hips. And then come forward. See if you can stretch the hamstring. You might want to put your fingertips down and get a little bit more length since we're working on stretching here. And come back. Keep the ribs in. Reach behind you. Feel the length in the front of the thigh. And then come forward. See if you can come forward enough to stretch the hamstring, keeping your stability. Reach back. And come forward. And back. Forward. One more time. Then let's come to the center, restabilize, and take some circles with the top leg. And reverse. Then re-engage your inner core and your organ lift. Lift the bottom leg up and then flex your feet back, and we'll work the feet. Squeeze the toes, point the toes, fan the toes, flex back, squeeze, point, fan, flex, squeeze, point, fan, flex, reverse it with the toes open, reach, squeeze and pull back. Open the toes, reach, squeeze, pull back. One more time. And relax down. Okay, let's turn over to the right side. Lengthen out long on the right side. Feet slightly, we're going to go to a 90-degree position to begin. Let the left hip drop forward, find your belt, and we'll roll out in the socket. 10 times external rotation here. Keep the left hip forward. Keep the center of your belt deep and snug, low down on the body and deep down inside it. When you're done with the 10, relax. And then open the front of the hips a little bit so the knees are forward, the feet are underneath you. We still want to drop the left hip forward, engage the inner core, and then roll the thigh out in the socket. 10 repetitions. And then we open up to 0-degree flexion. Re-engage the belt and then pull your organs up to the ceiling and roll out 10 times here. Keep the left hip forward. Now all the way outstretched. Feet a little forward. Left hip just teetered slightly forward. Top hand on the waist or the fingertips on the mat in front of you. Engage the inner core. Take your organ lift. Raise the top leg up. And we're going to externally rotate. Flex your foot and bring the heel down to the front. Then lift, point, roll in, and take the toes down to the back. Lift, roll out, flex front. Lift, point, roll in, toes back. External rotation, heel to the front. Internal rotation, toes toward the back. 2 more times. Roll out, flex the foot, roll in, point the toes. Last one. And into the center. Reset your belt, reset your organ lift, pull your ribs together, and move your leg behind you. And then bring the leg forward. See if you can find a hamstring stretch. Take your fingertips down on the floor if you need to come a little bit farther forward. And come back. Extend the front of the thigh. And come forward. Stretch the back of the leg. And reach it back. Keep your ribs knitting in. And come forward. 2 more times. Reach back. Hip extension. Reach forward, hip flexion. Come back and forward, stretching the hamstrings as you come forward to the center. Reset the core work, 5 circles in each direction. and reverse. Then re-engage the core, lift the bottom leg up and flex both feet back. Squeeze the toes, point the feet, fan the toes and flex back. Squeeze, point, fan and flex. Squeeze, point, fan and flex. Do the reverse with the toes open, reach, squeeze and then pull back. Open, reach, squeeze and pull back. One more time. And lower down. Relax both legs down to the mat. And turn onto your back. Now find the inner core. Knit and imprint the ribs. Lift the right foot up and cross the right ankle over to the left knee. We are going to get to a piriformis stretch. We have a few other things to do before we do that. We're going to work with the obliques a little. Bring the left hand behind the head. Inner core snug, feel your ribs knitting and imprinting, and exhale, reach up with the left armpit towards the right knee, and then lower down. Exhale up and over, and inhale down. Exhale, feel that diagonal, inhale down. Exhale, lift up and over, inhale down. Last one, come up and stay for 5 pulses. And release. Both arms relaxed on the floor. We still have the right ankle on the left knee. Check in with the pelvis. Be sure you're centered at the back of the pelvis. We're going to give the left hamstring a really good challenge, and then we'll stretch it out. Engage the inner core. You want to feel your belt wrapping and your ribs wrapping. Get ready for the left leg to work and take a pelvic lift, just relying on the left leg. And then come back down, stabilizing. Right ankle still on the knee. Left knee, and exhale, push up. And inhale, lower back down. One more time. Stabilize and lift. And bring it back down. Keep your belt snug. Keep your tailbone down on the mat. Lift the left leg up. Hands behind the back of the thigh. And stretch up with your foot. Flex with the left leg. Bend the knee. 2 more times. Stretch up. And bend the knee. Once more, stretch it up. And bend the knee. Now for today, I'd like you to keep your tailbone down on the floor as you stretch the piriformis. Relax into the stretch, but keep your tailbone down. And pull gently in with the left leg. Feel the stretch in the right hip. Try not to flatten the lower back. Just explore that stretch in the right buttock without flattening the lower back. And then release the left foot down and the right foot down. Let everything relax. And reconnect with the inner core, your ribs knitting and imprinting. Lift the left ankle up to the right knee. Let's work with the obliques a little, right hand behind the head. Inner core, ribs knitting and imprint. Exhale, reach up and over, right armpit towards the left knee. Keep your pelvis steady. Exhale, up and over, and inhale down. Exhale on the diagonal. Inhale down 2 more times. Exhale, reach armpit towards knee, and lower. Last one, stay up and pulse for 5. And then release. Keep your left ankle on your right knee. Relax the arms to the sides. Engage the inner core. Knit and imprint the ribs. And then press into the right foot to lift the hips up and lower back down. And exhale, push up. Lower back down. Keep your inner core wrapping. One more time. Press up. And lower back down. Keep engaged. Keep your tailbone on the mat. Lift the right leg up. And keep the tailbone down. Reach the hands behind the back of the thigh and stretch your right heel to the ceiling. Flex your foot back as you straighten the leg and bend the knee. And stretch up. And bend the knee. One more time. and bend the knee. Keep your tailbone down. We'll stretch the piriformis through the back of the left hip, the back of the left buttock stretching. Relax the shoulders. And then keep supporting as you lower the right foot down, and then the left, and relax. Okay, we're going to do a little challenge here. I'm going to try some leg circles from a pelvic lift. So one leg, one hamstring is going to be working hard, and the other one's going to be stretching at the same time. Engage the inner core, let your ribs knit and imprint. Lift in a neutral spine up into a pelvic lift. Now, if you can glance up, see that your hips are level to each other. By the way, if you have something behind your head, don't have it in behind your head for now. Take it out and have the head on the mat. Pelvis is level. We're going to raise the right foot up. Feel that left leg working. Extend the right leg to the ceiling. Let's do 5 circles. We're trying to stabilize the pelvis, work the left hamstring, lengthen the right side. 5 one way and then 5 the other. And then you're going to bend the knee, lower your right foot down, restabilize, rewrap the ribs, take the left foot up, extend the leg, nice long stretch, 5 circles each way, trying to stabilize the pelvis as you move the leg. And then reverse for 5. And bend the knee, lower the left foot down, and bring the hips down. And relax. Bring your knees into your chest for a moment. So if you discover that your hamstrings are really tight, I'm going to recommend this, and this is a good thing for anybody to do really. We're finishing the class with the legs up the wall, and I think it's great. If you have tight hamstrings, I recommend you do this 3 to 5 minutes every day. So we're going to come in fairly close to the wall. If you know your hamstrings are tight, you can just face the wall. If you have a little bit more flexibility, you can snug in a bit closer to the wall sideways. And in either case, you want to get down with the feet up on the wall and the tailbone on the floor. So key to keep the tailbone down, because if you flatten your back, you give your hamstring some slack. You can feel that just with your knees bent. If you flatten your back, the back of the thighs feel really soft. Reach them down, and already you're getting a little stretch. So keep the tailbone down. You'll want your inner core wrapped around your pelvis, and then straighten the legs up the wall. Keep them parallel if you can, and then just hang out here. Time yourself for 3 to 5 minutes. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. You can also just close the eyes and relax here. And let the breath move slowly. Keep dropping your tailbone down. And if you need more stretch, you can move in closer to the wall, or less stretch, you can move farther away from the wall. Whatever works for your body with the tailbone down, that's how you decide where you are. Legs parallel, knees straight, tailbone down. And as I was saying before, working the muscle, even though working the muscle engages it and can theoretically tighten it up, if you work it and then stretch it, you'll get more stretch. So walking up hills is a great way to engage your hamstrings. I definitely recommend you walk up hills. If you're in Rensselaerville, you have lots of opportunities to do that. So really good walking up hills. You might also walk upstairs and pay attention to the way you get up out of a chair. If you notice that when you get up out of a chair, you have your hands down and you're pushing with your arms a lot, you're cheating yourself out of a good opportunity to work the hamstrings and the gluteals, all the hip extensors. So you can practice getting up out of a chair well, engaging the core, and then not using your hands as you stand up, or minimizing the use of your hands at least. So let's bring the knees to the chest, and then roll to the side. And we'll just experiment with seated forward bend here. To finish up, see if you can sit up on your sit bones with your feet flexed back. So you used your hamstrings quite a bit, and we just gave them a decent stretch. That was a little less than 3 minutes, but it just got a pretty good stretch. We're going to see what happens if you keep your tailbone, your sit bones down. Begin to gently stretch down the legs. Notice if there's any difference from what you're used to feeling in the stretch of the hamstrings. And as far as hamstrings, as far as anything, but hamstrings really, because they're such big, strong muscles, and they're really so tight on people, daily will really help you. The more consistently you both work and stretch them, the more progress you'll get with the stretch bit, and the stretch, and the strength bit. Okay, so sit yourself up, and then we'll bend the knees and just do a little bit gentler stretch for the lower back. Let your forehead bow down, your shoulders relax. And then sit up. So when we try to get up off of the floor, see on the floor where our hips are flexed, we're going to go into hip extension, so we will be using the hamstrings. Engage your core. This is, you can use your fingertips on the floor if you want, or you can try without. And lift yourself up. Come to standing. Good tall stance. So tight hamstrings can have this effect of pulling your tail between your legs. And this has all kinds of effect on your spine, of course, but these muscles are really strong, big muscles. Think about the little small muscles along your spine versus these big muscles in the butt and the backs of the legs. If you find yourself in that position where your tail is really tucked under, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you're getting this spinal flexion, try working on the hamstrings with your tailbone down on the floor and also stretching the piriformis like we did. Okay, so let's just open the chest to finish up. Lift tall to the crown. Open the chest, rolling the arms out of the sockets. And then relax. A couple more times. Keep the breastbone lifted and open as you externally rotate the arms. And then relax. And one more time. All right, that'll do it. So there's a little hamstring lesson for you. There's a picture in the feed if you want to see those 3 strands of muscles. But all 3 come from the sit bones and go down 2 to the inner back of the lower leg and 1 to the outer back of the leg. But main takeaway is big muscle, it extends the leg, it bends the knee. Okay, so walk up some hills and then stretch. All right, have a great day. Take care. Bye.